and welcome to the Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. I'm Matt Mercer, instructor for the Pathfinder School and the founder of the Black Hat Bushcraft channel right here on YouTube. And this afternoon I have come out to our old Pathfinder youth camp, which is just out here behind our church. I've come down here for two reasons today. Number one, we have the upcoming Heritage Skills USA gathering in MacArthur, Ohio, which is June 6th through the 8th. And this is going to be a great event because we have all of the Pathfinder crew coming. All the instructors will be teaching classes and tons of free classes. And there's also tons of other instructors outside of the Pathfinder organization that'll be teaching everything from homesteading to bushcraft survival. It's just a great training opportunity and a fun opportunity for your entire family. So if you've not heard of this or if you've not signed on for this, check it out. Heritage Skills USA. We'll add a link down below in the description box. So the first reason that I've come out today to collect some resources for my classes that'll be held at the Heritage Skills Group gathering. And then the second reason is, of course, to cook up a delicious lunch here today. While I'm out in the woods, I might as well be cooking. And of course, if I'm cooking, it's got to be a subscriber submitted recipe so that somebody, one of you guys, will win some free Pathfinder cooking gear that'll come to you from Self-Reliance Outfitters. So we have all of this coming up on today's show. I hope you guys will be excited. I hope you'll stick with me. And we're going to have fun cooking up some delicious food. Let's get going. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about today's recipe and of course announce our winner for the episode. And I'm going to do my very best on this name pronunciation, so please bear with me. But congratulations, Leah Jelinek, for your submission of a Southern camp stew. Now I'm definitely Southern and I love camp stew, so this should be a winning recipe for me. All the ingredients are very simple, easy to pack things. Everything that goes into the stew pot is really pre-cooked to some degree, and so this will be a fuel efficient recipe. It'll be a time efficient recipe, and in no time we should be eating a delicious hearty camp stew. That's going to be a winner in my book. So I hope you guys are excited about this, and I say let's get started cooking it up. All right, to get started today, let's talk about the Pathfinder gear that I'll use to cook with. And I just have my bush pot bag here, and everything's nested together nicely in this bag. On top, I have a spare cutting board, which is the small model. I also have in here my 64-ounce bush pot, and I have some things nested in that. Of course, this is nested on the bottom of the pot, which is just a bush pot stand, which I'll use in conjunction with an alcohol stove. In the very bottom, I have my stainless steel Pathfinder plate that always makes it into my video. Down here in the bush pot bag, I have a couple little pockets with utensils. I have my stainless steel tongs and my stainless steel utensils that just always hang out in there. Inside of our 64-ounce bush pot, I have an onion, which will go into today's recipe. And I have my custom Black Hat Bushcraft spice kit with the salt, pepper, and seasoning salt. I also have down in here my alcohol stove, a stainless steel bowl, and of course an MVP here on the show, the 64-ounce stainless steel bush pot. And that always makes for a great camp cooking kit. Pretty much everything that I'm gonna need all nested down into one bag. All right, so today I'm using a knife I've not used on the show before, and that is the PKS Skinner. So I'm looking forward to using this knife a little bit more. And it makes a great little kitchen knife here. We're gonna cut up this onion. You just kind of coarsely chop it according to Leah's recipe. And I may not need the whole onion because, as always, I'm gonna do a little condensed version of this recipe. Is this just me out here as always? And one of the things Leah talked about in her recipe was that this is a modified version of her mother's recipe that she used to make in their household when she was a kid. So that's kind of cool that this goes back into her family's history and kind of makes it all the more special that we're able to enjoy that here together on the show. So once again, Leah, thanks for sharing your family recipe. I think probably about another half of that's going to be enough. And I'm just, again, chopping this stuff up a little bit coarse. I think it'll be better that way in the stew. Looks good to me. We're going to put that in the stew pot, cook it down in butter, and onion and butter. Man, don't get much better. So we'll go ahead and transfer these onions over to our stew pot. Right. All right, so our next ingredient to go into the stew pot is a 4-ounce can of mushroom stems and pieces. And fortunately, this one is a pop top. And I'm just gonna drain off some of that water. All right, and now we're gonna transfer these into the stew pot. All right, and we'll set that aside. Now, our final ingredient and the magic of this recipe are these Hillshire Farm Cheddar Little Smokies. And we're gonna use the whole pack of these here. Now, these types of sausages are pre-cooked, so they can go without being on ice for a little while. Of course, if it's cold weather, you should be good, but if it's hot weather, they do need to be on ice if you're gonna be out for a long period. But I haven't had these out for probably about an hour or so, and they've not been on ice, and I know they're gonna be fine. Again, they're pre-cooked. We're gonna put the whole pack here in our stew pot, and we'll set that aside. Pre-cooked. Now, I don't know if you guys caught that, but one of these little jewels tried to escape the bush pot. First sample. Now, our recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of salted butter, and I just have some olive oil and sea salt butter here, which I'm going to add, and I'm just going to use my stainless steel spoon, and I'm going to add a couple of big, what I eyeball is 4 tablespoons worth. That looks good right there. Maybe a little extra, because you know how we do things on Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. We like a little extra, especially when it comes to butter. All right, we're gonna set that aside. And now what we need to do is fuel up our alcohol stove. And this is the smaller version of the Pathfinder alcohol stove. And just have a fuel bottle here. And we're gonna fill this thing up. I love cooking with an alcohol stove. It's just a very simple, easy to pack system, and just does great for these recipes. This is a recipe where everything's pre-cooked, so it's not going to take a whole long time. And so this alcohol stove will burn for at least 45, maybe 50 minutes, and it'll be perfect for cooking up this recipe. Now we're just going to set our alcohol stove here. That looks pretty level, and we have our 64-ounce bush pot stove stand that'll go just over top of that to give us some clearance between our stove and our pot. And then we'll be able to set our 64-ounce bush pot right on top of that. And this will be a great, efficient way to cook, and just lightweight, easy to carry system. It all nests together, and I love it. I always enjoy using this system. All right, let's go ahead and get this stove lit. We are lit. Hopefully this bush pot stove stand will help with the wind, because as you can probably tell, it's very windy out here today. And we are officially cooking. We're gonna get our mushrooms, our sausages, and our onions cooked down a little bit. And then we're gonna add in our next 2 ingredients, which will be potatoes and green beans. So we'll let this get heated up. We'll get these things prepped, and this thing's gonna come together quick. All right, so our next ingredient to prep is this can of whole new potatoes. And what I love about being on YouTube is magic. Haha, perfect. No can opener required. These are whole potatoes, so what I'm gonna do is just empty these out. The ones in the bottom are kind of busted up there, so we're gonna have those in the can. But these I'm gonna slice up. There we go, just slice those up a little bit. And we're gonna save those, since they're already pre-cooked, until our onions and our sausages cook down, and then we'll add this stuff in, and that way our potatoes won't get too mushy. All right, so I'm already hearing a little bit of bubbling action going on here. Let's take a look. Yeah, that butter is melted down really good. Just gonna stir this stuff up, make sure everything's coated in butter. And we've got it started. It just definitely needs a little bit more time, so the magic ingredient, as always, patience. By the way, do you have a favorite recipe that you like to enjoy when you're recreating in the great outdoors? If so, go ahead and submit that recipe to the email address at the bottom of your screen, and that'll get your name and recipe entered into our data bank of recipes that I pull from each time I come out to film an episode of our show. Remember, this is a win-win. It's a chance for you to win free Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear, and it's a chance for me to try your favorite recipe right here on our show. I would be happy to announce your name as our winner in the next episode, and I would be glad to see you receive a care package from Self-Reliance Outfitters. So don't wait, submit that recipe over to me today. All right, so let's take a look and see how our food's coming along. Bubbling away, looking great. Those little Smokies are starting to swell up, and these onions have gotten a little bit more translucent, so I think we're good here. I think it's time to add our potatoes into the mix. Right, and our next ingredient is some French cut green beans. And I don't know that I'll add the whole can of this. I'm gonna add half the can. I think that looks good to me. We can always add more. That's the nice thing. Now what I'm gonna do is just kind of mix this in a little bit. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. And I think I'm gonna put another spoonful of butter in there. Got a little vial of salt. Sprinkle some of that in. Those little Smokies are pretty salty already, so you don't want to go too heavy, but we can go heavy on the pepper because I love black pepper. It adds so much flavor to a meal. And as I said, I think I'm going to go with just a little bit more butter. Just make sure that the bottom of our pot is well conditioned there with that butter. And we'll just mix all that in. And let it cook a little longer. So it's definitely time for us to check on this stew. And look at that, man. That looks really, really good. And it smells really, really good. And I'm thinking it's almost dinner time. I'm gonna give it just a few more minutes to simmer, but it's gonna be time to eat. Can't wait. All right, you guys know what it's time for. That official meal reveal. Oh man, look at them cheddar smoked sausages, all those new potatoes, French style green beans, a little bit of mushroom, all cooked to perfection, and a ton of butter with some simple spices of salt and pepper. You guys know this is gonna be a delicious camp stew, and even crunchy here is just a little bit jealous. I can't wait to eat. All right, so after all that, it's now finally time to eat, but anytime I'm gonna enjoy a delicious meal out here in God's beautiful creation, I like to take just a minute to say thanks. All right, so it's now time for the official taste test, and I can promise you guys that it's sausage first taste. Those things are cooked down. The texture has gotten real soft. It makes it so good. You can taste that little bit of cheese, the smokiness. Potatoes, of course. The potatoes were already cooked in the can, so just kind of softened them up a little bit. Soaked up some of that flavor with the saltiness and the butter. It's delicious. You can even taste that green bean in the mix a little bit. It all just comes together to have a hearty, satisfying flavor. Yep, I definitely like this recipe. It's just simple, straightforward, filling, a lot of flavor. Exactly what you want when you're sitting out in a beautiful camp. If I were out here to stay, I would definitely have a nice fire going, sit by the fire, eat some delicious camp food. It's just hard to beat that. It really is. If you haven't had a chance to do that recently, I bet you need it, and I highly recommend it. You get out in the woods, get yourself a fire going, or get your favorite camp stove out and cook yourself up a delicious meal and just enjoy some fresh air and the peace and quiet that the woods offers. I think everybody needs a little bit of that in their life. So if you haven't, I recommend it. All right, so now that I've had my official taste test, time for yours. I got you guys here a nice cheddar sausage, some potatoes, green bean, a mushroom. There you go. Taste just for you guys. I sure wish that I could share these things with you guys. Maybe one day. So obviously I modified this recipe by adding less ingredients than are specified because I was cooking for just one. But according to Leah, if you make the full recipe, it should give you 4 servings. So I guess if you have a family of 4, then you could serve 4 that way. If you wanted to scale the recipe up or down, it's very easy to do that. And remember, with any recipe that I show here, always feel free to modify the recipe to add or take away things according to your taste. This is another one of those great recipes where you could add any type of veggies to it. You could add bacon to it. I know a lot of you guys are huge fans of bacon based on the comment section of these videos. There's just a lot of ways that you can modify this to make it perfect to your taste. And as always, I think that's the sign of a real good camp recipe, one that can be modified to suit the taste of those in camp. Well, I'm not going to keep torching you guys eating this delicious Southern campfire stew in front of you, but I would like to take just a moment to say thank you again, Leah, for sharing your family's recipe with us. I've really enjoyed this one. It's a delicious recipe. It's simple, straightforward, and it makes a nice, hearty campfire meal that the whole family can enjoy. I'd like to say once again thank you to all of you guys who participate in our show by watching, by commenting, and especially those that share your recipes and become a part of the show. And I always am happy to see you guys receive free gear from Self-Reliance Outfitters. So it's just a matter of sending over a recipe in a matter of time, and most likely your recipe will be featured on the show. So be a part, send a recipe to that email address at the bottom of your screen, and I would be proud to announce your name on the next episode of Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen as someone receiving free gear from the store. So once again, thank you guys for your time, interest, and support. Don't forget to subscribe to the Self-Reliance Outfitters YouTube channel. If you haven't, ring that bell button and stay notified of all of our upcoming videos and episodes of Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. And until that next episode, y'all take care, be safe. See you soon. You want a little bit of this crunchy? No? It's all right. More for me.